This moment is a very interesting and exciting one. Come on with Chigozendebo. Wherever you might be watching us, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Yes, I am here to give you in-depth analysis and perspective regarding the 20th of May 2024 appearance of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu in the courts of Nigeria to continue his trial. But Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, as usual, shocked the entire world by making a very phenomenal and emphatic submission yesterday, which have rattled the entire uh, media or internet. Today, people begin to ask what exactly is happening within the Nigerian legal jurisprudence. What is it that the Nigerian legal practitioners are not in tandem with the provisions of the Constitution? Or could it be that they decided, of course, to play the hide and seek game because of vested interest? In Mazi Nnamdi Kanu's submission, he made it frankly stated that any further trial or any attempt to try him amounts to the act of terrorism, citing the provisions of the Constitution, which of course empowers his position. And he maintained that that is the provisions of the Constitution, and the Constitution could not be jettisoned or the law against any interest. Are Nigerian legal practitioners not aware of the provisions of the Constitution? Is Mazi Nnamdi Kanu submissions in tandem with the provisions of the law that when a country signs a treaty or ratifies a treaty and adopts such treaty between other party countries, that becomes a law and is binding on each one? Nigerian government signed a treaty for repatriation and not for rendition, and having violated such law between Kenya and Nigeria diplomatic agreement, then it means that Nigeria has lost its right to try Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. And as such, citing the position of the Supreme Court that gave an overruling verdict, having interpreted, of course, the argument whether Mazi Nnamdi Kanu jumped bail or not, the position of the Supreme Court was very emphatic, very straight, unambiguous, that Mazi Nnamdi Kanu did not jump bail. Even the Supreme Court judge berated, of course, the Nigerian government over his dastard act by trying to assassinate Mazi Nnamdi Kanu in his own home country, even when he was still granted bail, and there is no justification for invading his own home while he is to appear in the court in few days. Of course, and awarded some compensations to Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. The Supreme Court made it very clear that Mazi Nnamdi Kanu never jumped bail, but it was an attempt to his life. Of course, that led him scurry for safety. If Supreme Court have made this interpretation as clear this ambiguous position, then no other country within the Nigerian legal jurisprudence has the right to argue or question the credibility, the authenticity of the position of the Supreme Court that happens to be the highest appellate court of law within the Nigerian legal jurisprudence. And any attempt to question or argue over the submission or position of the Supreme Court amounts to perjury, and that should, of course, not be regarded. And such judge should be called to book. The position of the Supreme Court on matters bordering on Mazi Nnamdi Kanu jumping bail or not has been clear, and as such, no other argument should be sustained or entertained in this regard. So, Binko Inyako claiming that he cannot grant Mazi Nnamdi Kanu bail or turning the bail application of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu the second time amounts to a mere is just being mischievous, because Mika Binta cannot contravene the position of the Constitution. What I expected Justice Binta to do is to comply with the provisions of the Constitution, which has been affirmed by the Supreme Court, which is the appellate court of law. And as such, it is quite ridiculous for Binta and other judges to be playing around this skate because it is unacceptable. It is, I mean, not necessary in a sense society where the rule of law and the rights of the people should be protected. And what is signal is this sending to the entire community of nations about the Nigerian legal jurisprudence. What impression are they creating? What public image or reputation is Justice Pinter and other Nigerian legal practitioners or legal counsel system is trying to make before the Committee of Nations? It is quite laughable and quite very ridiculous that Mazi Nnamdi Kanu could even tutor them and bring to their consciousness the position of the Constitution which they claim to practice, which they claim, of course, to defend. It is quite unfortunate that someone would not even know the content of uh, his lectures or the curriculum of his studies, which is quite disturbing. And this begin to bring in the minds of many whether or not the legal jurisprudence or legal practitioners within the Nigerian states are well qualified to handle such matters. It is quite unfortunate that the Nigerian legal system is brought to such a point of discrepancy over and against its own self and matters bordering on the constitution, which should be uh, a reference point. When matters are being, of course, disputed or when there are controversies, the position of the Supreme Court lets a final say on such matter. Now that the Supreme Court has made its position known, and yet they are hiding under some disguise, trying to overrule the position of the Constitution amounts to a rape of the Constitution, a rape of democracy. And it's quite unfortunate that the judiciary want to set up Nigeria, want to put Nigeria on the point of distress, on the point of war, because trying to make such impress that some people could be intimidated because of their racial or ethnic alignment or positions would trigger some, of course, unrest and disturbances, which we don't pray for. But if that happens, the judiciary and the politicians within Nigeria should be blamed for such. We are not here to promote anarchy or to promote unrest, but we are speaking out so that they should know the implication and the consequences of such actions. Mazi Nnamdi Kanu made it very clear by violating that act of, of rendition, which negates the agreement or treaty they had with Kenya that have made them lose every right. Of course, you cannot strive in your own error and want to take advantage of the same, of course, error or blunder you committed. It's never done in anywhere in the world. And of course, this is a very strong point. Mazi Nnamdi Kanu maintained that no power, no Nigerian legal jurisprudence has the right to tie him on this matter. And of course, he has gained advantage over the Nigerian and have given them the head court, of course, in their own court. I want to know what is your own take regarding this latest development. It's been interesting and exciting, of course, to hear from the leader of the indigenous people of Biafra on his own trial and the development so far, which of course his legal counsels affirm and assented to that this is the true positions of the law, and any contrary positions, of course, would not be accepted if the Supreme Court, being the appellate court of law, had given her own position regarding this most controversial matters bordering on his bail applications. I think it behoves and is incumbent on the judges to do what is needful, to respect, of course, themselves and the legal system within the Nigeria. And do what is needful. Nobody is hurt when the right thing is done. But when you fail to do what is right, you are inviting anarchy and you are paving way, of course, for the unforeseeable to breathe in, to take place. But we don't pray for that. But yesterday's uh, court case of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu has proven again that the Nigerian legal system is on trial. And of course, it is within and before the Committee of Nations who could have so assessed and evaluate that position. There is no need of even asking for a new bail application. On the position of the Supreme Court, what the argument should be to respect the position of the Constitution and allow Mazi Nnamdi Kanu to go. Even without that position of the Supreme Court, the extraordinary rendition of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is an indictment and a diplomatic blunder committed by the Nigerian government. And as such, I know they have knowledge of international laws and the rights of humans. The rights to freedom of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu was infringed upon, was tampered upon, and as such, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu has the right, of course, to address this injustice, of course, meted at him in any case, in any court within the world. He could resort to, of course, International Criminal Court of Justice if he has lost confidence in the Nigerian legal system, just as he rightly expressed yesterday. His position affirms his, of course, fears and lack of confidence in the legal jurisprudence within the Nigerian state to deliver justice. And let's know whatever possible he might be contemplating of course, referring or taking the court to International Criminal Court, where he believes, of course, that matters of such the borders on his rendition and other violation of his fundamental rights could be well addressed and, of course, led to rest. But he maintains that his position and, of course, quest for the independence state of Biafra remains sacrosanct and cannot be traded for anything on earth. But God's own people must be emancipated. There is no other better time as he maintains that the Rubicon, they have crossed the Rubicon, of course, and is a point of no return for every Biafran. And having determined and having been resolved, and when his resolutions are strong, I believe not even death could deter anyone from this noble cause, which they believe strongly, of course, are committed to uh, realizing this monumental, of course, and historic moment for all Biafrans, as if they are waiting for the Messiah. And according to the Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, that is the greatest miracle on earth. The restoration declaration of the Biafran state as a sovereign entity that has the right and, of course, and the will to decide and protect her own people and chart their own, of course, way forward by the own self, where the ethnic nationalities within this enclave, of course, will aspire and drive at their own pace. Well, let's know what is your own position regarding the position of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, and of course, what have played out in the Nigerian courtroom yesterday was quite very laughable. But then we shall continue to wait to see the next developments as this case, of course, is becoming more interesting and Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, having spoken for the second time, of course, have left the world scuttled and rattling, of course. When the lion roars, he maintains his position, however odious and exacerbating any situation. He has remained resolute, of course, in that quest for justice and fairness. Would that be possible within the Nigerian legal jurisprudence or courtroom? Well, it's a matter of time that we answer this. We continue to watch and keep our eyes abreast as we continue to inform you, whatever be the case. And we will remain here, of course, to continue this in-depth analysis and entertaining you with the best analysts here. Just join me, follow me. You can also support us to do this great work if you deem necessary. Thank you once again. I remain the host anchor Chigos Ndebo. Remain blessed, stay safe until the next edition.